Welcome to Frameline. I'm Barbara Gosowski, here as usual with my favorite critic, Courtney Small.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Great, how are you?
I am doing well. Starting off the year with some film festivals, so we're already tired and the year's just begun.
Is it over yet?
It's the love of cinema that keeps us going.
So we've watched already some of the best films of 2024, and it's like barely February. So, but the good thing is, this is like your insight into things to watch out, films to watch out for in the coming, hopefully just year, in the coming year. Not hope. Sometimes they take them a while, and it takes 2 years. But let's just say, in the coming year, watch out for some of these. We're going to start off with one of my favorites of the festival.
Well, before you even dive in, we should let them know which festival we were covering. Because of the festival hangover, we're still a little tired, but we're covering the 2024 Sundance Film Festival. So we're going to be talking about some of the films that played there.
Thank you for catching that. See, this is why you're my favorite. Okay, so here's some highlights from Sundance 2024, including, like I was saying, one of my favorites of the festival, something that got a lot of buzz. A film called Exhibiting Forgiveness. It stars Andre Holland and Andra Day. And the film takes us into this world, into the world of this artist, a painter who's on the path to success. Things are going well for his career. Things are going well at home with his beautiful wife, and she's about to launch her music career. So there's this wonderful relationship that they have. They have this amazing, adorable son, and his career, like I said, his painting career. They want to launch another exhibit of his paintings. He's such a hit. But all of this suddenly gets derailed by a visit from his father, his estranged father, and we start learning the circumstances of the hostility that this man feels towards his father and what exactly happened to drive them apart, what exactly is going on with this man, because we see in the film the things that he's trying to work out in his dreams, in his life, in his relationships, but also in his paintings, and that the film really works through a lot of things by showing us what he's working through in the paintings. And so it has this fascinating artist's insight into his art and how it's informed by his life, but also invites us in to see this process that he undergoes. And it starts to ask questions about forgiveness, which I think are so universal. I mean, when it comes to families, when it comes to all sorts of relationships, there's things are complicated and they're messy, and it's not always easy. I don't want to ruin too much, but anyway, and Andre Holland is amazing in this role. He just gives all in this role, really propelling film forward, and the film just moves, it's just got this amazing pace, and it just moves. I can't wait till to have in more depth when it comes out.
Yes, I completely agree with you. This is a great film. It was one of my favorites of the festival, and I think some aspects of it were semi-autobiographical or loosely autobiographical from the director Titus Kaphar, and I believe he's an artist as well. So I think the way how this film incorporates the paintings and the artistic vision with the hurt of the past, I think, is quite fascinating. And one of the interesting things about this film that I found is it is very much a film about forgiveness, but it also touches on the real aspect that forgiving someone is really hard. and sometimes even you get to a point where you partially forgive feels like you've gone up a mountain.
Yeah.
Like I like that this one didn't go the ways that you think it might, and I think part of that is because there's just so much raw emotion in the film that we can all identify with the anger that Holland's character Terrell is feeling, and I think it also works because his parents, the portrayal of the parents is so authentic that I think it really works. Like his father, Laurent, who is played by John Earl Jelks, and I think he steals a lot of the scenes in this film, partly because he has to play the verbally abusive, society has done me wrong type of father, but then you also see him as the addiction is taking over the later stage. So you see so many different facets of the father that by the time the father and son reconnect, you feel like you've already lived a lifetime with them and you kind of understand the conflict. And then when you throw in the mother, who's played by Ingenue Ellis Taylor, who people might remember from Origin or King Richard, that adds a whole other dynamic because you have both the unconditional love of a wife for her husband, even though the husband has done a lot of bad things, but then also the sense of guilt of knowing that due to addiction, sometimes your love and your faith will allow you to ignore really problematic things or put people you love in really dangerous situations, all under the guise of, well, the Lord is telling me to do X, Y, and Z. There's little commentaries on how, I guess, religion tends to mask a lot of, or it tends to be used as an excuse to kind of mask a lot of our indecision. So there's so many different layers, and yet it all works. And by the time you walk away with this film, you're really thinking a lot about yourself, these characters, but also just how we go about forgiving people who do some things that we might deem unforgivable. So I thought it was a really, really powerful film.
Yeah, and that's especially what I really liked. It wasn't just the strength of the characters and the complexities of the characters, but the complexity of the issue of forgiveness, the complexities of the situation that it's presenting, of the history, the family history of the past, of their relationships, but also the complexity of forgiveness when, it's not always easy to forgive someone. And so many movies are like, there's always that arc of, conflict, there's facing up to facing that person from your past and then learning to forgive. It's like, that is a tired old trope. And this just blows that apart and just goes, well, it's messier than that, right? And this film doesn't give you any easy answers. And that's why I really appreciated it and thought it was so very effective, and I hope a lot of people see it.
Speaking of forgiveness, connections, let's talk about Suho. I know that was one that was high on your list. So do you want to tell audiences about that one?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I think of Sundance 2024, I think Suho's my favorite, in terms of like the best film that I saw, because I like Exhibiting Forgiveness. Like Exhibiting Forgiveness and Suho are so neck and neck. It's really hard to make a decision, and it's like, don't make me choose between my children. These are like complicated films, and this one is also. It's started by a father-son relationship. Fathers and sons, for me, I don't know if it was the way I was choosing films, but this was the fathers' relationships with their children were like a big.
It was a lot at Sundance this year.
Yeah, or maybe people are finally ready to like take that on and talk about their fathers, their relationships, right? But this is a film that starts off with. The character is a cartel gunman, right? And he has a 4-year-old son, and he adores the child, and Suho's the child, and but you can see that there's something shady going on, and eventually, like, I'm not, no spoiler here, it just tells you right away in the description, the father's killed. And so the film takes you through what happens to Suho and how people take care of him and how he grows and the situations and stuff that he grows up in after that. And in the reality of this Mexican countryside village, with the reality of the cartel life, but there's also other things that are happening, in a countryside. It's like I think it's kind of universal. Like I think of my background in the countryside. There's like it's not unusual to have things like, okay, religion or superstition, or in this case witchcraft. Like there's all these kind of like forces at play, and fate, and this film sort of takes all of that together and sort of weaves it all together for this like more complicated vision of a life and a bunch of people's lives, and even this like mystical like connection with nature and the natural world, and what happens when you're taken out of the natural world, what happens when you're in there, and what happens when you're so closely in that. But also, yeah, fate and destiny, because Suho is this cartel gunman's son, and there it is. The cartel is all, the wilderness is all around him, but the cartel is also all around him as well, and sort of like how that affects things, and the relationship of the women, and the kind of power that they have. They actually do have some in this situation.